I did not know this was episode 8. That's wild. Just
Yeah,
to
man.
think about that in terms of Star Wars, episode 8.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Most people don't really like the episode 8. But I mean, we're here today to talk some cool Star Wars. What's something new that you're looking for in the Star Wars universe? Like, is there anything that you're looking forward to? I know we got the Rey films coming out. We got Andor season 2. Maybe we'll get some Tales of the Blank coming out this May. Maybe announced at a Star Wars Celebration. Is there anything you're looking forward to?
Uh, as a Star Wars fan, and maybe this is a cop-out answer, I get excited for all of it. Um, I'm super stoked for that new Rey movie just because I think the idea of 15 years after Rise of Skywalker of her as a Jedi Master is really sick. I would love to see Finn with a lightsaber as a
Yes.
Jedi training for 15 years. Seeing Poe back, like, say what you will about the sequels. I watching them when they came out, I had mixed opinions, but the older I get, the more that like I'm into the lore of Star Wars when it comes to that sequel area, which is really something we don't know a lot about. I mean, compared to everything else that we know about. Um I really do enjoy it. And I know we started off with episode 8, but episode 8 Last Jedi has one of my favorite Star Wars scenes of all time when Yoda is talking to Luke about education and failure is the best teacher and that lesson. And I mean, dude, the Mandoverse stuff too. Like, I didn't watch it. Okay, I wasn't there, so I did not watch it. I did not watch a leaked commercial for it trailer. Okay, but dude, Zeb looked good, dude.
It looks
So
so good.
I'm stoked for all of it. And like Skeleton Crew was great that just came out. So whatever they're gonna throw at us, I'm gonna go in with an open mind and excited because there's a reason why our rooms are filled with so much Star Wars stuff. So to go into something with anything other than like let's try it, I think is the wrong attitude.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And see, like that's something I like to get with new people I conversate with because it's you kind of get like a base to touch down with to see, okay, well, let's see what you like because I mean, sometimes some people get triggered by certain projects and it's kind of a thing. I mean, it's personal, whatever.
Yeah.
If you like something, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But at the end of the day, I can gladly say I can sleep perfectly fine.
Yeah.
If Plagueis comes to live action and we don't get more, oh well, I'll be just fine.
Yeah.
Skeleton Crew. If At-Atten gets destroyed and we go to Dathomir right next door, I'll be all right. That's perfectly fine. So
Yeah.
let
I
just
mean,
bring it on. I want in Star Wars, what I really look for is a good story and cool shit. That's all I want.
yeah. I
That's all I
mean,
want.
the people getting this is the my perspective on it now. People getting upset about stuff in Star Wars is a testament to how much Star Wars means to people. So if you want to look at it from the lens of how good that is, it's awesome. Um, However, I think the idea of look, my favorite quote of all time, and I'll say it on every podcast and video that I get a chance to, is your focus determines your reality. If you go in with something and you're expecting to not like it, your focus is you're not going to like it, so your determined
Mhm.
reality is I'm not going to like this, and then you're going to walk out of that movie either being really surprised and go, I'm surprised I didn't like that because I thought I was, or you're not going to like it. There's been tons of stuff where I thought that I wasn't going to like it, so I walked in being like, I don't know about this. I mean, whatever the project is, even the other franchises, Marvel, DC, whatever it is.
For sure.
But if you go into it with an open mind, at least you're going to be able to sit down as a fan and enjoy stuff. And dude, like since what 2019, like there was a time where I didn't know if we were going to be going back to movie theaters, dude. And I know that's like 5 years ago now, but
All right.
Star Wars back in the movies is just the opening crawl and that music. And look, I don't know if it's going to start the same way as any of the nine did, but
Right.
like just seeing Star Wars on screen is going to be such a blast, and I can't
Oh
wait
yeah.
for it.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. I mean, that's what we grew up doing. Like, I assume you
Yeah.
went and saw the prequels in theater, Rogue One,
Dude, I didn't
7, 8,
see
9.
any of the prequels in theaters. I wasn't
Okay.
allowed to. So we're the same age, but when it was Attack of the Clones, I saw everything on DVD and VHS right after. But episode 3 came out we were like in second grade.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I wasn't allowed to go because it had a PG-13 rating. And they were like,
Ah.
and my parents were like, I don't know. It looks kind of, and my best friend who's like, we're like this with Star Wars. My next door neighbor, he went with his dad and he came back and he was like, dude. And I was like, I'm so mad because I wanted to go. But that since then, that's why I'm so big on first night releases when it comes to like any superhero movie, especially Star Wars, like Rogue One,
Yeah.
Solo, all of the sequels. I saw opening night. Same way with Marvel, same way with DC, same thing with like any of that stuff that I'm like, I need to see because I wasn't allowed to go see Revenge of the Sith. And
Damn.
yeah, I know. There were people who left school early to go see it. And I was just sitting there like, oh, come on.
Some bullshit. Yeah,
Yeah,
your
I know.
parents
I
were
was
like,
mad.
"Look, you can't. You're not 13. It's PG, of course."
Yep.
And it's like, who knew that Count Dooku would be getting his head chopped off in the first 25 minutes? That's not my
Dude,
fault.
it's a violent movie. It's one of the I cut up a clip because I was editing a video and I brought up Dooku getting beheaded, and I never realized until like watching it in slow-mo as I'm editing the clip, but like there's a CG Dooku head that bounces on the floor behind him when he gets beheaded. It's not just like this and then the body falls. It's like there's a head that bounces like a basketball behind him.
Yep.
And like, I mean, speaking of details, like that's the stuff I love about Star Wars, is going back and being like, whoa, did you see? Like, you can find something new every time.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think one of my favorite little hidden details too is Jango Fett getting into the Slave One on Camino, and he actually bonks his head
Yep.
on the retracting door. It's it's the
Yep.
very little things. They both have to do with your noggin, but at the same time, I mean, his didn't fall off until later in the film.
Yeah,
Spoiler warning if you
he
haven't
kept
seen
his head
Attack of the
on,
Clones.
so that's good.
Yeah, man. But well, man, I mean, going into it, show and tell, like I always do. Everyone who's here watching already knows that on Clan Brandolorian, we talk about show and tell. We're going back to elementary school. Let's go back to 2005. We're in second grade. We're showing off. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys what I got today. Let me pull out the flashlight a little bit because this certain something has a little glow aspect to it. I don't know if it's gonna take a while for it to pop on, but I figured since our next conversation is going to be Return of the Jedi, I might as well go ahead and bring this bad boy out. And shout out to Geeky Pops on Instagram for letting me buy this from her. We got the
Oh yeah,
holographic Luke from Return of the Jedi.
you can't see it, but
Jabba, give me my friends, or I will beat you up. Is basically what he says right here.
right there, dude. Same one, right behind Cad Bane. That's a good one, dude. It's
Yes,
like
I
all the
love
way
it, man.
down there. Yeah, you're a big Lego guy.
Yes.
I am. My content started out as specifically Star Wars Lego content. Like before I switched to just all Star Wars, I was specifically Star Wars Lego. Um, that's like if I had to pick something of not necessarily the thing, but Lego Star Wars is basically how I see the fandom in terms of like 1 through 6. Like if I think back on me as a kid, or even like in high school and college and stuff, and even now, like when I think of Star Wars memories, 10 times out of 10 there's a Lego set, a Lego minifigure, a game, or something that is tied to that memory for me and that experience. So I went all the way back OG with it.
Oh man.
This is the first, not only the first Star Wars Lego set I ever had, but the first Lego set I ever had. The OG
Bro.
Land Speeder. I think this is, I might be biased, but this is a top 10 Lego set of all time for me. Easy build, great minifigs. You got the yellow skin. And dude, like the OG box art for Lego is like, dude, like with the old insignia, and then like even the side box art, like they don't
Oh
do that
wow,
stuff anymore. Like,
I've never
and you
seen
got
the side.
oh yeah, they all of the OG sets had these like profile pictures on the side, like these portraits of them, and then you got the alt builds on the back. Now that it's upside down, but like all the alt builds on the back. This is one of the greatest Lego
Oh
sets of all
damn,
time. That whole shelf up there behind some stuff. I've got like maybe like 14 of the original like first 2 years of that stuff. So
damn,
like the Phantom Menace stuff, the original Slave One, uh the Return of the Jedi stuff, like all of those are that's what Star Wars started off as for me.
dude, nice.
Yeah.
I love that. See, and I love that for you, especially too as a Star Wars fan around my age too, is because I'm biased, of course. I think we grew up in the golden age. You know, my dad had episode 4, 5, and 6, and didn't understand where 1, 2, and 3 was. So me growing up, he's able to live those moments with me,
Yeah.
going through 1, 2, and 3. And of course, like I said, I'm biased, but I mean 7, 8, and 9, I find a lot of great things in it. I
Yeah.
think it's better than it is bad. I can't write a better story, so
There's a bunch of
but
people online who think they could too. I agree with you about the golden age, because when I say this to a lot of people when I talk about it, is like for us growing up with 1, 2, and 3, as much as the merchandise was awesome for those movies, like you go to the
so
toy
good.
aisle and it was all Attack of the Clones, all Phantom Menace, all Revenge of the Sith, there was still parts of it where you could go to Burger King and it wouldn't just be Revenge of the Sith stuff, it would also be original trilogy stuff. And I think
Yes,
that's why
man.
we were in the golden era, is because like specifically like this Lego set. This Lego set was coming out at the exact same time as the Phantom Menace stuff. So you had where the story started in terms of merchandise and where the story was going in terms of merchandise. And I think that's why we were in the golden era, because like we had all of it at once. If we
Mhm.
if we only had like prequel stuff, I don't know if I would be as much of a fan of the original trilogy as I was, only because so toys, dude, the Lego games, like
Yeah.
video games, books, like the VHS stuff of going back and like watching the making of for those original trilogy stuff, and even the prequels are like where my love of Star Wars was built on. So yeah, dude, golden age for sure.
Yeah. And that, man, I remember going to like Target. We were more of like a Walmart family growing up. So we would never really go across the street to Target. But when we did, you go down the toy aisle and it's just red and orange, just glowing
Dude,
red and orange.
and when you
And
were lucky enough to go to Toys R Us, dude.
oh man, see,
Yep.
mine, we would go to Toys R Us if I visited my grandpa when he moved to Wichita. So we
Okay.
were, an hour away. So like when we'd go see him, every 4 months or so, like man, it was just like, Grandpa, I love you. It's good to see you, but hey, you got to take me to Toys
We
R
we
Us,
got
man.
some business to deal with, Grandpa.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, dude, it's just like it's so weird because my wife got me the Boba Fett helmet Lego in 2021,
Cool.
and that I'm a new collector for Lego.
Okay.
When I was younger, I had the Harry Potter sets for
Yeah.
Sorcerer's Stone, Chamber of Secrets, and then I also had the NBA arena. So I got like the Steve
Dude,
Nash, the
yeah.
Kobe Bryant, the Shaquille O'Neal. Like I had those, but I never had the Star Wars. So now it's just like, man, I'm older. I can spend adult money on
Yeah.
Lego, and now it's all behind me, man. It's just
Yeah.
it's insane. But yeah, I wish I had some of those older sets because the land speeder you have, I've seen that on Instagram a few times. And I think I've seen a few TikToks on the TikTok shop of people getting the Temu version of that land speeder. And it's like, man, I don't know about that. That don't look right,
Oh
um
boy.
but yeah,
Yeah.
that's dope, man.
Yeah, I'll send you a picture, but like right here up on the wall, I've got I have most outside of maybe like a few of all of my like Lego minifigures from the time that I started getting them. Like
Nice.
those were priceless, and they are priceless in terms of the
Yeah.
memories and stuff. But like now it's cool to go back and then like add stuff like the OG P2 Rex outside of the new one that they just released. The OG like Blue Thrawn is up there. I
Mm.
love the Ahsoka stuff, dude. And then like I've been I've always been a fan of Ralph McQuarrie's artwork for Star Wars, but like getting into the merchandise of all of it, of like how much stuff there actually is of like when they go back and pay homage to Ralph, of like I've got the all white Boba Fett, the McQuarrie Boba Fett up there minifig. So
Oh,
there's
nice,
I'll send
man.
you a picture rather than just me explaining it while it's right here because I can't turn my camera. But
Yeah, please do.
yeah, no, there's a and then that whole shelf up there is, like I said, that's all Lego. And then I got a whole other box. But dude, the Harry Potter set where there was the forget which one it was, but the black piece that was like reflective where it was inside the mirror. Do you remember that thing? Where you could it was like reflective or like holographic where you could like flip it and one was Voldemort and then one was Harry or something like that. Do you remember that piece? It was the
I
mirror.
don't. I
Dude, that
don't.
was I remember that so vividly from being a kid in that Lego set because it was when they had the yellow heads. So it's
Right.
OG.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
there was that one piece where it was like, the reflective stuff, like they put on like
Right, yeah, yeah.
holiday
So
cards
is
and
it
stuff.
it was a tile piece, right?
Yeah, but it was like a stand up where it would like clip into a stud and you would like spin it. So it was like part of his head and then it would spin and it would be like Voldemort on the other side. I don't know,
Mm.
dude. It was wild. I
Mm.
remember that. Lego doesn't do stuff like that anymore, but that was the fun stuff.
Yeah, man. Damn. Yeah, I haven't seen that. I just
Yeah.
remember I had the it was like the OG Hagrid set, and it came with young Harry, Hermione, and Ron, of course. But I remember the little scabbers you got with it. It was just like a little
Oh,
just
yeah.
brown chunk piece, not
Yeah.
detailed at all. It's just like, oh yeah, that's scabbers for sure.
Yeah, dude. No, I
Oh
remember
man.
those vividly. That's awesome.
Yeah. Hell yeah, man. Yeah, man, taking me back a little bit. But if we want, we can go back to 1983. And I've seen a lot of your stuff, and I feel like since the time we've been following each other, I'm just like, man, this guy gets it. Return of the Jedi, it is the close second for me, for Revenge of the Sith being top tier, of course, but Return of the Jedi is just right here. And recently I was able to pick up the UCS Jabba sail barge,
Ooh.
everything Jabba's palace, Boba Fett, Luke Skywalker, anything that has to do with that first 30 minutes at
Yeah.
Jabba's palace or on Tatooine with the Sarlacc pit, sign me up. That's why at Book
Yep.
of Boba Fett, I was like, man, we finally get some clearance. We get to see what happens. How did Boba get out? What's the Sarlacc pit doing? And we see Jabba's sail barge just in shambles, just
Yep.
crumbled up. And it's like, dude, this is crazy. And then of course Boba's taking over Jabba's palace. But man, what is it about Return of the Jedi for you? I've seen you guys breaking down some of the Luke versus Vader fights. I do love
Oh, yeah.
the last video you dropped with the where Vader like leans over and it's like intentionally, and it's like, oh, okay, I see what you did there. But
Dude,
I
people
love
were
that
so
shit.
mad about that, but like it's part of the reason why I love it is so that's a perfect example. I love A New Hope and I love Empire Strikes Back. I love Empire Strikes Back. Empire Strikes Back did so much to build on. It's a perfect sequel, right? It did
Yeah.
so much to build on the lore of A New Hope. You get out of A New Hope in 1977, you see it in theaters, and then you're like, what happens next? And then in Empire, you're like, what? They doubled down on the Jedi, they doubled down on the lore, the world of Star Wars. Like Star Wars felt so big in A New Hope, but then you watch Empire and you're like, oh, it's not just a world. It truly is a galaxy. It's an entirely different universe. Return of the Jedi is where that universe doubles down on its charm for me.
Yeah.
So, look, people don't like Return of the Jedi because of the Ewoks. Fine. But the things that make Star Wars great are the adventure, the music, so the world building and stuff like that, and then the humor. And Return of the Jedi is all of that, dude. You get to see Luke as a Jedi. You get to see Luke not only as a Jedi, but as somebody who's dealing with the struggles of his past that he didn't even have anything to do with, what became before him, and then how he deals with what comes next and the decision making that he has. You get to see Leia is such a badass in that movie. Han's back, Chewie, like everybody gets to have their cake and eat it too in Return of the Jedi. And in terms of like, for me, I'm such a behind the scenes guy where I love the story, but I see something and I'm like, I want to know how they made that. The behind the scenes for all of that stuff, like Jedi to Star Wars to Jedi, the behind the scenes stuff. I've got that VHS over there, actually. That's one of my favorites of all time, the OG behind the scenes stuff. But like that doubled down of like they're really going to build out the world and costuming, the set design, where they were. It was the biggest because they had already done 2. So they were like, they hit their stride, right? Empire was a success. When they made A New Hope, they were like, I don't really know if this is going to work. So they went into Empire like guns blazing.
Right.
Dude, Return of the Jedi is so good for all of that stuff. And yeah, is it slow at times? Sure. But it's so much fun, and it has truly, like, if you were to make a top 10 list of the best scenes in Star Wars, I would say probably 30% of that list, maybe even 40% of that list are scenes from Return of the Jedi.
Oh yeah. Give me Jabba's palace. That's one.
Yep.
Right off the list.
Yep.
Give me the final duel, of course. Like,
absolutely.
How do you miss that? There's
Yep.
2. The speeder bike chase. How many times have we been kids on bikes?
Yep.
Shout out to Skeleton Crew, just chasing each other on bikes, or just screw it, not even bikes, just running around playing tag. Like, that's literally what's going on.
Dude, the final
Endor.
scene with the Force Ghosts, like, it's you can't, like, there are so many points in Return of the Jedi that you can list off, and it goes the same way. That's why Star Wars is great. You can do it with so many of the other movies, but Return of the Jedi, when you're like, if you were to really do a draft, you would be like, dang, how am I going to leave this out? Really?
Yeah.
Like the Force Ghost, when either version where it's where it's either Hayden or not. Like, if you look at that and you're like, oh man, there are scenes that are better in other movies. That's fine. That's your opinion, but you'd be really hard to define that, especially in terms of like the other scenes that came after it. They're built off of that. So it really is it's my favorite. And I didn't know how many show and tell things I was supposed to bring out. So I do have a Return of the Jedi thing that's super fun that I got this past year.
Let's do it.
This is a press release from when Return of the Jedi came out. So this was on the red carpet when Return of the Jedi came out. This is what was there. And it has like all of the they handed these out when it was like of all of the supporting cast and like production staff and stuff. Like this is OG, dude. 1983.
Man.
Yeah.
That's
crazy.
Wild.
So yeah, Return of the Jedi, I have, and obviously like Luke Skywalker, like his lightsaber's right here. I'm wearing his lightsaber on this side. Like it's the best, dude.
Man, that's dope. So how many of those are there? Is that the only one, or is there a few of them?
This press release?
Yes.
So they were handing these out. So like, you know how like at AMC now, if you go see a Marvel movie, like there are posters of like, if you go see Captain America Civil War at an AMC, there'll be like little posters that they hand out.
Oh, sure.
It's kind of like that. But what's cool for me is like, that's actually from when Return of the Jedi came out. So I'm like, let's go. Any stuff like that, I gravitate towards so immediately. Like there's so much other stuff over there of like, there's a copy of Splinter of the Mind's Eye over there, an original release copy. There's like, and then there's new stuff too, where like the 25th anniversary Phantom Menace bucket is right there. Like, there's so much. I love old stuff. I prefer old stuff to new stuff.
Yes, I would have to agree because that's what I saw first was older things. My actually have a friend who's, he's in his later 30s, and he loves coming over and like seeing my collection because he has quite the collection of himself, but it's all vintage.
Cool.
But like the Sarlacc pit, for instance, like the Lego, he's like, that thing doesn't have a beak. What is that? Get that off of there, you know? Because he's used to the old stuff. So
Yeah.
he's like, no, I don't like the or my Yoda, my buildable Yoda with the lightsaber. He's like, dude, take the lightsaber off. Yoda doesn't have a lightsaber. So it's just like some of the funny things where you get the old with the new, and it's just
Yeah.
you get different perspectives of the love for it. So I absolutely love some of the things he's shown me. And actually, since we're on Return of the Jedi, he gifted me this. And it's a
Oh,
Burger King glass
so
from
good, dude.
1983.
Yeah, those glasses are the best. When the Burger King glasses and the McDonald's cups are so good. There's
Yeah.
I wonder if here, I'll grab these. So these are a little busted up, but they're still cool. These are old like plastic cups from Pepperidge Farms from Return of the Jedi. And it's got like the story of like what they're doing on with the Ewoks
That's
right
dope,
there.
man.
I've got two of them. Dude, these are from 1985, so like well after the movie was out, but like yeah, or 1980. Oh, these say 1983, but maybe that's just the copyright. But yeah, for Pepperidge Farm. So like when you buy a box of Pepperidge Farm Star Wars cookies, you got these, and then if you like collected enough of them, you got a like a tumbler, I guess. I don't know, but
Oh,
stuff like this is where like if I'm in an antique store or something, I'm like I don't care how much it is, that's mine.
yeah, you popping out with those easy, easy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, dude, my mall in my hometown is slowly turning into just a big ass antique store. And
Cool.
so I'm like, man, the times we walk by, I don't really see too much. I think the coolest thing that I've seen was a Pee-wee's Playhouse like diorama set. And
Whoa.
like that was pretty tight to see, but
Yeah, that's sick.
nothing too crazy Star Wars. I did see they posted on Facebook that they have a lot of Funkos. And it seemed like there are a lot of the clearance GameStop that happened the last rotation.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's easy to say, once they clear everything off the shelves, they'll take it out, rotate with the new wave. But I mean, still, like, it's good to see some Star Wars stuff in there. But I'm just waiting for the day to see some old shit. That's what I want to get, because the action figures, the Kenner toys, they're so dope, man. I mean, now they're
Yeah.
extremely detailed, which I appreciate. But you can never hate on what the vintage stuff pumped out. I mean, it's all mints, man. It's great.
Yeah. When they do the throwback of the vintage figures too in the TVC boxes, those are cool too. I've got the ROTJ Luke one right there, and I've got the Ahsoka one somewhere. But like
Mm,
where it's got the Kenner logo and they've still got the 4 or the 5 posable because the neck counts too. But like where it's
yeah.
only arms and legs and the lightsaber, like Luke's lightsaber is a green samurai sword. Like all that stuff is so much fun. If
Oh
don't get
yeah.
it, hey, don't get on Facebook Marketplace if you want to keep your money in your pocket. Because if you're like, oh, there's not really a lot of antique stuff. If you get on Facebook Marketplace and you just type in vintage Star Wars, Facebook's algorithm is going to sell you so much stuff, and you're gonna spend hours on there.
Yeah, I might have to get into that because I know a good friend of mine, Young Pogba, shout out to him. He
Oh
lives in
yeah, dude,
the
his stuff's great. His Lego
yeah,
stuff, yeah,
yeah. He got on Facebook Marketplace and got the last Lego Death Star for $50, but it came with no minifigs. And he's like, okay, yeah, I'll
yeah,
take that easily. I'll
yeah,
get the minifigs later. And it's
yeah.
just like, okay, well, sounds like I need to get on Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook Marketplace is like eBay if you had to drive to a weird parking lot and then pick it up from somebody. That's the only difference, which is like, but it's not a bad place to get some steals. Do you follow Star Wars thrifting on Instagram?
I do not.
Dude, I'll send you her account. She is like like Rancho Obi-Wan, the museum that's in
Oh yeah.
California. Her house is like Rancho Obi-Wan 2, where she's constantly at flea markets finding old stuff, like old jackets. Any things where she'd be like, oh, Saturday morning out at a flea market, and she'd be like, look at these finds. It's stuff that you would be like, those are grails, and she's finding it every weekend at stuff. So yeah, I'll shout out to her because she does awesome stuff, and like collections like that where it's like more about archiving. And the way I think about this, I'm like, it's a museum of my own Star Wars memories. So like,
Yes.
yeah, it's cool to look at like behind me. I mean, it's better than just a blank wall, I guess. But like when I come in here to do stuff for Star Wars, I'm getting ideas from other stuff. So that's my
Yeah.
2025 goal is way more collectible stuff. Cause I mean, it all just sits behind me anyway. I might as well talk about it, you know?
Yeah, that's what I tell people too. JT Lovecraft, when I had him on,
Yeah.
he's like, I see you're a part of the sickness. And I'm like, I'm sitting here, I'm like, well, I mean, COVID's still going around.
Like
Like
down with the
what is he?
sickness? Like what are you
Yeah, like
talking about?
what's he talking about? He's just like, all the plastic behind you. I'm like, oh yeah,
Oh.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, dude, it's amazing to like just come in here. I remember that meme, and it's Luke actually looking out at the Force Ghost, and he puts his arm up on the tree, and it's just like getting that last look before I walk out of my room, looking at my Star Wars stuff. I feel
Yeah.
that, dude. Like I'm in here, once the baby goes down, I'm in here till like 1 in the morning, just
You're a
like,
super
all
new
right.
dad too, by the way, right?
Yeah, man. My kid just turned 5 months yesterday.
Congrats, dude. That's so awesome. That's so
Thanks,
sick.
man. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's dope. It's like, all right, son, it's time to get you on this crazy shit that dad does.
They'll either be there immediately or they'll be like, Dad's a weirdo. There's too much weird stuff in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I think too. Maybe when he goes to school, he's like, yeah, my dad's fucking weird, guys. Like he has a whole bunch of shit, and it's like crazy.
There's so
but
much stuff in our house, dude.
but yeah, dude, it's just like you just like look around, and it's just, you look at a Lego set and you're like, yeah, that cost me $30. And you don't even think of that. Most people who are just like, man, that's a lot of money. Or like my dad comes over, he's like, man, you got a lot of shit. And I'm just like, yeah, I do, but I
Yeah,
need
and guess
more,
what? I'm gonna get more.
Yeah, it's just it's all priceless, man. That's
Yeah.
what I tell like other like Funko collectors that I talk to. I'm just like, dude, the Fennec Shand of her kneeling down, um, $3 at Walmart, like a shelf warmer, bro. I'm snagging it because I love Fennec Shand, and also it's
Yeah.
a $3 collectible.
Yeah.
Um, cool. Like Reva, third sister. Yeah, give me the Walmart exclusive because I want it.
Yeah.
Like I'm down. Let's make them cheaper. Like let's go.
Yeah.
It don't matter. But yeah, dude, that's the beauty of just having the stuff behind you just to look at every day, and every single thing has a story with it. Every
Yep.
single one.
Yeah.
So
That's what it's all about. And I mean, I will say when we talk about the golden age of Star Wars that we grew up in, I think it's 100% because of that, how much merchandise heavy our fandom was. That was like new toys every week. Like you go to the store, there's new this, commercials. You buy this, buy this. Where it's like, yeah, George Lucas won. Like I was indoctrinated
yeah,
into like buying all that stuff. He got it, and that's why he was smart at marketing because there's a reason why I'm almost 30 and this stuff is still here and I'm still buying stuff. Like it's because I
yeah,
love it, dude. I mean, like you said about Walmart, like going to the toy aisle at a Walmart, like you're out getting groceries and you're like, well, let me just take a look. And you go over there and see. It's fun, dude. It's like
yeah.
going over there and just being able to look at the boxes. It made me so sad the other day. I was in a Walmart up here in Colorado and they had all of the toy section behind those glass boxes now, so like people can't get into them. Like how that's got to hurt sales for stuff because you can't select which thing you want. You have to
Yeah.
like look in the window, like press your face up against it and be like, oh, I think there's a Lando Calrissian back there, that's the one I want, behind the Mando, behind the Vader. Like you can't see what's on the peg or on the shelf, which
Damn.
how is that? That's gotta hurt sales for like Lego. It's different because it's like all boxes are stacked up and
Yeah.
like that set's behind the other boxes. But when it comes to like TVC or like lightsabers and stuff, like you don't get to go through the peg and select which one off the shelf that you want. I don't know. I was like, man, that sucks.
Yeah, see, and like mine right now, that's how it is with all the cosmetics. Like if I need to get a stick of
Yeah,
deodorant or some spray, I can't like I have to be like,
that's
okay,
crazy.
now I gotta sit here and be like, I gotta wait for an associate, and
Yeah,
I don't want, no associate anywhere doing their job more than they have to. That's just
Yeah,
me. I
I don't want to ring a bell for them to tell me that I need Colgate toothpaste. Like,
Man, I swear, I swear. But man, if mine got to that point, I'd just be like, man, because like what? I want to buy maybe it says the Ahsoka lightsaber right here, but I'm like, oh, maybe they got, ROTJ Luke Skywalker's, green right there. But it's
yeah, you don't get to you, and also too, like as a fandom, like I said, I didn't see Revenge of the Sith in theaters, but like going in and then figuring out what the story of the movie was from like the backs of action figures and seeing like, oh, who's this guy? Oh, who's this guy? Like, that's, I mean, that's the reason why I love the original trilogy so much is because like you'd go into a Walmart and there'd be a Ponda Baba action figure on the peg. You'd be like, who's that guy? And then you look and you're like, oh, it's Ponda Baba. Like, it's not exciting when you see the movie. I mean, it is cool, but like, you're not like,
yeah,
oh, it's not like one of those top prime characters, but it's still fun to like go read the back of the box and be like, okay, I'm going to cross reference this with the movie and then I'm going to figure it out. Same thing with Lego minifigures, all of that stuff. It's like, it just makes you, as somebody who was in marketing for a long time, it just makes you so much more of a consumer of it. And
hmm
outside of the marketing perspective of like, yeah, I understand I'm a consumer of it, but I have passion for it. You learn more about the story that, and then you love it more because
yep.
you know more about the characters and stuff and the planets and oh, this guy's from this planet and he's originally from this comic book, but he made the movie in this, and it's like you get to, and then you go on Wikipedia and then you look up more. Like there's
Oh
so much
yeah.
research that goes into it that like I don't know, it bummed me out so much where like kids couldn't like look through the backs because everything has a description of like what it is on the back. Like even like this TVC Yoda of like you look on the back and then it's like, oh my gosh, they also have these guys. You know what I mean? Like you
Yes.
can't do that if they're all behind plastic or glass, you know? So I don't know.
It's
There's my Walmart rant for you.
It's yeah, it's a really weird thing. I feel like in our country right now things are just weird and for our Walmarts especially to have glass cases in front of things. I don't know if it's a huge theft protection thing. I know that's the reason, but at the same time when you go into, accounts, that that's not going to make or break your store.
Yeah.
If how's this kid gonna walk out with a Kelnaka lightsaber because they have 40 of them? Which
Yeah.
I've noticed at my Walmart. We have a bin and it's just lightsabers. You're like, oh shit, who all they got? You're thumbing through and you're like, oh, they're all Kelnaka. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, damn it. I wanted that show to be so, good for everybody, but
Yeah.
it's just like, man, these Kelnakas, maybe I have to grab one, but it's just it's one of those things too, is if they got those sitting on the pegs, you're flipping through and you're like, I want to see what's behind this one. And it's like they got the buildable Ahsoka, they got, the Return of the Jedi Luke, and then they just have, a bunch of Kelnakas just, warming up space behind it. It's just
Yeah.
like, damn.
The art on those boxes is sick though. Like the new they're not called Power of the Force, but it's the Force is in it. But like those buildable sabers that they've got now, the art on those boxes, if they made like an animated series with that art instead of the Clone Wars art, dude, sold.
Oh yeah,
I'm
that would
sold
be tight.
immediately. Yeah.
Yeah. Damn.
Really cool stuff.
Yeah. Man, what okay, so next May in 2026, we're gonna be in the movie theaters, of course,
Hopefully,
because
hopefully, hopefully. Let's keep our fingers crossed. And let's until I see a trailer and a release date. But as of right now, I hope and I pray that we will see it then. And I really want to, but we don't know as of right now.
Okay, yeah, true, very true. I'm acting like things don't get switched up last second, but I feel like because it's Mando and Din Djarin and Grogu and Baby Yoda, what do what do we think of this guy in theaters? Is it a blockbuster? Is it a is it something that just shakes up Hollywood, shakes up the movie realm? Regardless if the movie's good or bad, do we think that this movie just blows up? Like blows up. What do you think?
I really hope. Look, I said this at the beginning when it comes to Star Wars stuff. Like I hope that every new Star Wars project is my new favorite Star Wars project. Like, I love Return of the Jedi, and will anything ever be better than Return of the Jedi? Probably not. For me, probably not. But I hope that every project is going to be better than Return of the Jedi. And when it comes to the new stuff, look, I love I love Mando. And that new report from Sigourney Weaver sounds pretty cool. I am ready for
Yeah,
Grogu to start talking. That's my
please,
thing.
man, please.
I I love baby Grogu. However, I think that the time for progression of story is there rather than it just him always being a baby. And I know he's the same species as Yoda. And I know it's going to take like 20 years for him to even look like an 8-year old, right? Like,
Yeah.
but I'm so excited for him to start talking. I also am stoked to see Mando again because,
Hmm.
dude, like, and I understand people's opinion on this is a little bit different because they're like, oh, he stole the show from Boba Fett. But like, dude, when that music started playing and we saw Din Djarin break through that butcher shop in Book of Boba Fett for that episode, I was like, let's go. Because
Bro.
Mando is he's such an exciting character. In terms of like box office numbers, if Fantastic Four does well and The Last of Us does well and this Pedro Pascal train keeps rolling, I think it could be really good for them. I think that if it is as good as they are hoping for, we are going to see even more of a double down on Mando, just like we did after season 1, where it was like, dude, when season 1 came out and we were all like going to the store being like, where's all the Mandalorian stuff? And there wasn't anything yet. And then there was like 6 months later, it was like everything had Grogu on it. It was, I think it's going to be a renaissance for that again, if it does as well as I hope it does. Um, but yeah, dude, like I said, I'm just excited to see it in the movie theater again. Zeb's back. Like, it's an interesting time in the galaxy.
Hmm.
Sigourney Weaver in Star Wars, that sounds awesome. Maybe we see Hera. Maybe we see some. Look, I always love seeing the Rebels crew in live action when we can. Do I think we're going to see like an Ahsoka pop up? Probably not. But I also don't know when this movie really takes place. Like, is this happening at the same time as what's going on in Ahsoka is going on? You know what I mean? Because Zeb's
Right.
obviously preoccupied with Mando, so maybe that's why he wasn't at the end of Ahsoka. You know what I mean? Where it's
Yeah.
Hera and all of them standing there. Maybe that's why we didn't see Zeb because he's already doing what he's doing with Din during that time. Like,
I'm
I don't
I'm
know.
I'd be down with that.
Yeah,
I think they do need, especially if Weaver is saying that Grogu does have a little bit of an age to him. I think that it would be really cool if, the last time we see Ahsoka, they're on Peridia. They Time needs to go by just a little bit. I don't think Thrawn is going to make a huge impact back in the main galaxy right away. I think it's gonna they need to build a little bit. It's just kind of like when when you first set in stone, like with a business that you create, it's not going to hit right away. And of course, Thrawn is Thrawn. The Shadow
yeah,
Council is waiting for him. They don't know if he's coming back, but he's back. Moff Gideon was like, I don't know about no Thrawn. Like it's
yeah.
where is he? Um, I think it's going to be a very rude awakening. But I think it's going to take time for him to build. So I think that's good for the story too, to give it more time. So this allows Grogu to grow a little bit. Plus,
Yeah,
what's Boba doing on Tatooine? Has he left yet? Has he, he said this life isn't for him. Does he give it to Kersantin? I think Cobb Vanth maybe takes over the palace. I think that would be cool. But I don't know. I
I'd
think,
love to see Cad Bane back, dude.
oh,
If
dude,
they
that would be
brought
dope
Cad
too.
Bane back into the movie, and that's when he was like, "Oh, he's not dead, he's back." Oh,
Yes.
do I think they're gonna do that? No, because I think the only thing with this movie is like the restriction of like normies. And I don't say that as a bad thing, but like people who aren't like us, where we understand like the timeline of where everything is supposed to be, and we're not all like you and I are when we're watching stuff, we're constantly doing the Leonardo DiCaprio meme of like, oh,
Yeah. Like,
oh,
oh,
oh, he said the thing, there's the guy. Like,
yeah.
but for to put butts in seats for a theatrical release for a Star Wars movie, I think there's a lot riding on this, and I truly hope it does well because I think this is going to set the tone for all of those other movies that have been announced, like the Dawn of the Jedi movie,
Oh yeah.
the what's his name who just directed Deadpool, Sean Levy, he's getting
Yeah.
a Star Wars movie. The Rey movie that may also potentially be a trilogy. There's the Taika Waititi movie that's still on the table. There's the Rogue Squadron movie that's still on the table. Like, there's so much stuff. And there's the Lando Calrissian series that is a series, and then it's a movie, and then it's a series, and then it's a movie every week. But like, there's so much stuff on the table, and I think that's why they're riding on Mando so much. And look, I liked The Acolyte. I really enjoyed it. Hey,
Oh
I enjoyed The Acolyte. But I think, like, it's not a great sign when they get the feedback that they do from a show like that in terms of like Star Wars, that maybe they read that and they read the room and they go, huh, maybe a movie would be better than a series. Or huh, maybe we just dial in on what we know. We hit the hits. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like,
Play it safe.
yeah, they play it safe and they're like, oh, we know that Mando works and we know that Grogu pajamas sell really well. So maybe we'll do some more of that so we can keep selling some merchandise. You know what I mean? Or they do something completely new, which I really hope is what's there. But like I said, none of this is me being negative about it. It's more me just trying to understand from a perspective of what the boardroom is of, and I don't know. I don't know. But if I
Yeah.
was in that boardroom of like what Disney is doing, trying to understand where their head's at in terms of where Star Wars is in a fandom right now. But dude, I'm so excited to see Star Wars in the movie. Yeah, you better believe I will be there opening night. I will be there waiting in line, just
Oh
like
yeah.
it's Revenge of the Sith, just like it's Rogue One, just like it was the Solo movie. And there wasn't really a line for the Solo movie. I was dressed like Han Solo. I was dressed like Han Solo for Episode 7 too, and being dressed like Han Solo to watch him get sliced and diced
And then
by
you
his son
died a
was
little bit,
wild, wild. Dressed like Han
man.
Solo to watch him just fall off that bridge, crazy. But yeah, no, I'll be there. Even if nobody else wants to go, I'll be there. I love Star Wars, so let's
Yeah,
see it.
man. That's the whole point. I mean, that's the whole reason why we're sitting here right now is because of Star Wars. So yeah, you know, like you said earlier too, I like the Acolyte too, guys. If you're not new to the channel, I like the Acolyte. It's good shit, man. I was telling my dad yesterday, like I had a video last summer, and I was like describing who's Chimere? Like, who's he gonna be? Is he gonna be a Sith? Is he Darth Plagueis? Is he the first Knight of Ren? Is he the Ren? Like, I still have some people commenting on it, 6-7 months later, like, yeah, this aged well, dude. And it's just like, bro, cool. Because it's just like,
Thanks for the engagement, brother.
yeah, and it's just like, man, it's just I think it's just an easy cop out. Those people who
Yeah.
are just like, I watched the first 3 episodes and wasn't into it. And it's like, dude, watch the first 3 episodes of Breaking Bad, watch the first 3 episodes of The Walking Dead. It's a pilot season, man.
Yep.
Like, I feel like everyone had this itch in their head that it was like, oh, this is gonna be all about the Sith. And it's like, but you got to build up. Imagine,
Yeah.
Leslie Headland starting the episode off with, Plagueis looking behind the scenes, and here's Chimere and Osha, and it's just like, well, where does this start? Dude, Carrie Ann Moss getting killed in the first 3 minutes. I love that because
Yeah.
everyone's like, oh my God,
It
she's
raised
gonna
the
be the
stakes. It was
biggest Jedi.
good. That's a
Yeah,
good
and it's
choice.
it's a very good choice. And plus, like,
Yeah.
Kel Naka, like, the only thing personally, I wanted to see more Kel Naka. What Wookiee Jedi
Oh
have we
yeah.
seen in action? Why would we not want that? We get a flashback episode and we get to see him going crazy, and he's possessed, a possessed Wookiee.
Yep.
Thank
No,
you.
it's I love Kelnaka was my favorite part of that series. Just every week I was like, please show me the Wookiee. Please show me the Wookiee. Please. But
Dude.
also there's stuff like I posted a thing the other day about when people were freaking out about it was the freak out of the week when people were crashing out about the fire in space.
Oh yeah.
Like people are mad about that, but then they're not mad when a giant Wookiee, a giant furry talking dog that is 8 feet tall and can use his mind to pick up stuff without touching it and swings a sword that is made out of light. Like, understand where your anger is. Be like, well, that doesn't make any sense. How can there be fire in space? It's like there's flying ships in space, and there's none of that right now. Like, what are you mad at? There's talking green aliens. Like, I don't know. It's so wild to me what people pick and choose to be mad at. And look, back in the day, I used to get like there was stuff where I was like, oh, I don't know about that, and I was like in a weird era, and I think a lot of people were when the sequels were coming out. But like, dude, it's Star Wars grows with you, and I think that's what makes it cool.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, like my little brothers are like, "Oh, I hate the sequels," and it's like, "What? Did you see that on Instagram or TikTok that someone else hated it, so now
Yeah,
you
who
hate
told
it?"
you to hate it? Yeah.
It's like, come on. But you know, and it's just such a cop out. But then again, if you don't like it, then you don't like it. You
And
know,
that's
like
cool. That's
my
cool. If your actual opinion is I don't like this for X, Y, and Z, it's not really my cup of tea, but you're at least cool about it with other people rather than being like, oh, you like it, you suck.
yeah, that's weird. That is the
Bozo
weirdest thing.
hours, dude.
Or like the head canon things, like it's just ridiculous because I get it. Like some of the books and comics were canon before Disney, but there was nothing that, you know, most of these stories George Lucas even came out and said like, "Look, I have nothing to do with these. I think it's cool that there's writers and authors that are expanding the story I created. That's cool. Like, why would
Yeah.
you not want that as a creator? That's awesome." But then again, you know, with the love that I have for Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back, I and the sacrifices that Luke has made, and you know, he gives Grogu a choice in the book of Boba Fett, like, look, give into attachment, which is not the Jedi way, or give into with the Jedi, and I can train you to be, you know, even better than me because you're gonna live longer. He gives him every single detail of what could happen. And I just don't see where a Mara Jade and Jason or Ben Skywalker, I don't see how that falls in with Luke and what he's done in the original trilogy. And yes, those were once canon, but they're not because of the route Disney has taken. Because what if Luke in The Last Jedi did have Mara Jade? He wouldn't be the guy he is, and he wouldn't allow himself to be the Jedi he has become. Yeah, you get what I'm saying? It's just
I get what you're saying. I totally agree. And if they don't use Legends characters, look, I love Legends. And if they don't use Legends characters, that's fine. If George was able to make those sequel movies that he wanted to make, he wouldn't have really done the same thing either. And it would have changed stuff too. And people would have been either just as mad or they would have been fine. Like it's the
right.
same thing. People are going to be mad no matter what. If you want to specifically get into that, I think Mary J dying would have been a super sick reason for Luke to get even more estranged from the Jedi Order and make his decision for standing over Kylo Ren with the open lightsaber. Would it just his descent into that decision making of him being in such a dark place where we see him in the hut on Octo, him being like in the all black, him being the hermit, him not wanting to use the lightsaber, like, and then also having those built on the memories of him not being able to save his wife, I think kind of fits in, at least for me. I would love to see it if they wanted to shove Mara Jade in. I'd love that. If they don't, okay. Look, I love
Yeah.
the Heir trilogy so much. I love Heir to the Empire. I love Timothy Zahn. I was able to just meet him at ICCC this past October, and
Mm,
he's such a cool dude. Was able to sit and talk with him about so much stuff, his ideas, what he would do differently, blah 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 blah. But at the end of the day, just because it's not in a movie doesn't mean it's not your Star Wars. You know what I mean?
right.
Like, I love The Force Unleashed. That's part of my Star Wars fandom. But does it make sense that at one point Starkiller goes and is able to kill Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then Luke turns the dark side on Hoth and he fights Luke and kills him, and then he also stabs her? Like, does that make sense? Probably not, but it's
Right.
cool to watch. And I think that's the kind of stuff where, like how you said earlier with like the Star Wars what if, I think they're sitting on a goal. And I understand why they wouldn't do it, because there's so many people who would like watch a what if and go like, I wish that was canon. But like, I think at the end of the day, it's all part of Star Wars, and it's there's a saying that about headcanon where it's like your headcanon is what is most important to you. And I understand now when your headcanon is what you decide is what Star Wars should be, that's a different story.
Yes,
It's what you're a
100%.
fan of is what your headcanon is. Like, and
Yes.
it's fun to go back, dude, and like insert stuff of like, what if Starkiller and Mara Jade were both the Emperor's hand at the same time because their story is extremely similar? What if they trained together? And or what if they didn't and Darth Vader had Starkiller at the same time that the Emperor had Mara Jade and they just never crossed paths? And what if they did meet? And what if they were actually like a higher level of Inquisitor instead? Like there's so much. I'm like, I know I'm rambling, but
Like,
like, there's
oh
so much.
shit.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like get into it and you're watching and like it's the same thing as like when we're watching Book of Boba Fett, bro. When I'm watching Book of Boba Fett and then I see Ahsoka talk to Luke Skywalker, you think
Dope.
I'm almost 30? You think I'm not going to be in tears? Like, of course I am.
Yep,
Any
that's
sort of
dope.
that stuff. If you play the Star Wars music, I am going to cry because it's
Hmm.
important, because I'm passionate about it, because that's my favorite thing. But I think that's the point where it comes to other people of like, even if it's their favorite thing, sometimes they feel like it's being impeded upon. And I just think that perspective is where people fall into the hole a lot of time is because, yeah, they made something different and they said that that's not canon and this is canon and that's Legends. But that doesn't mean that Legends doesn't exist. You know what I mean?
That's facts.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's there's so much that goes into it. And I try to just, yeah, if you like something, that's what's up. I'm a fan, man.
Yeah.
In my opinion, a lot think that there's like levels to this Star Wars fan stuff. There's really not, man. It's
It's
just
not a competition, dude.
it's not, because like, there's sometimes people in their bios, it's like diehard Star Wars fan, and it's like, hell yes, go you, man.
Yeah.
You know, I love that. But then you
Yeah.
have the ones that just constantly bash on it, and it's like, okay, are you a fan though? You know, because like you were saying, sitting in on these, board meetings, listening to, the ideas that get thrown around. I feel like personally, if I was there, I would be overwhelmed. I could only imagine what is being said.
I would be in that room with my jaw dropped the entire time. I wouldn't be able to like, hey, actually, Dave Filoni, I think instead if it was this color, like I would never be able to do that
No,
because
you
I as much as I think I know,
we
I
don't.
really don't. Like, what if I
No.
was ever in the opportunity to make Star Wars? Would I? Absolutely. If I was ever
Mhm.
able to pick the way that somebody's Velcro on their boot was made, I'd be like,
Yeah.
I contributed to Star Wars. My dream has been made. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But am I petitioning to say that the way I understand Star Wars is the only way? No.
No, it can't be. It can't
No.
be. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's very interesting. That's why, I have my the Hayden Christensen's, the Daisy Ridleys, the Moses Ingrams, the ones that get bashed, and
Yeah.
it's not their, they get paid to do a job. And then we look back at it and it's like, wow, they did a really good job. I
They
can
don't edit the
never.
film.
No, they don't. They don't edit who they are as an actor or actress. They
No.
do their job. They follow a script, and I couldn't imagine being Leslie Headland or J.J. Abrams or Dave Filoni, because give me a spot to make a story, I couldn't, dude. I would fold immediately, because imagine making a story that you think is just perfect. This lines up well. I'm bringing back old characters. I'm throwing in a whole new side of the Jedi or Sith or even bounty hunters or smugglers. And imagine the wide range of fans just constantly shitting on your product. That would suck, dude. That would
It's
really
so
suck.
whack. It's so whack. And I do think too, like there are so many people who are like, oh, those people aren't fans. Like the ones who to be devil's advocate here of like, oh, those people who are constantly like talking bad about about projects, they aren't Star Wars fans. Be like, yeah, they are. They just, to use an example they probably wouldn't like, it's they're following that fleeting shadow just like Luke. You make a bad decision, you're in a dark spot and you need something to pull you out. If there's ever anybody who like, I'll answer comments a lot of the time where people will be like, I can't believe you talked about this, blah blah blah. But like, there there are answers where I'll be like, I hope you find what you want from Star Wars soon. Because
Yeah.
right now you don't have it, but you did have it because you wouldn't be here if you didn't fall in love with Star Wars somewhere else. And like I said, it doesn't mean that Star Wars you fell in love with does not exist, but it does stink when you watch something that you're like, oh, I'm super excited for this. And then it wasn't your cup of tea. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's fine. That is totally fine. There's stuff in Star Wars that is not my cup of tea, and that is cool. That's
Mm-hmm.
what entertainment is. You're supposed to have opinions on it. Not everything is supposed to hit all the time. But as a fan, I just think that there's not to get philosophical on it, but like I was saying about your focus determines your reality. You can consider those people a little they've lost their way. Their path lies in another, and it's like I said, not to get too philosophical, but for at least for us dudes who are like talking about Star Wars and who have a platform for it, to be able to show off what we like rather than what we really don't like, I think that's a better way to get those people who are commenting stuff that they hate about it back into Star Wars, and maybe they love it, and then they love it, and then they go, "Wow, I was being a jackass, dude." Like
Yeah.
that is what I would prefer rather than those people never be Star Wars fans again. Because at the
Yeah.
end of the day, dude, if we want the Mando movie to do well, those are people who could be butts in seats. Those are people who
Yeah.
could be buying tickets. And if they don't like Star Wars, they're not going to be buying tickets, which means I don't get more Star Wars, which means you don't
Yeah.
get more Star
That,
Wars, which sucks.
that's yeah,
You know what I
that's
mean?
the end goal, man. Is you want people to be, and that's such a good damn point, dude. It's just like, if you it's just weird that if you don't like something, why would you spend hours upon hours of your day just sitting online, just talking
Yeah.
crazy? That's
And I
not
get it,
fixing
dude. People
anything.
they have to channel their passion into something, and I get it. And look, there's
There's ways
if
to
I
do
was
it.
a critic on like Marvel movies or DC movies, dude, there's stuff in those movies that I do not like as a comic book fan. This whole other side of the room is all comic book stuff.
Nice.
Batman, all that stuff. That's like as much as I love Star Wars, I love that stuff equally as much. I love Star Wars. I don't want to say more, but in a different way.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
but
Good.
like,
Good for you.
I love all that stuff too. If I was a critic for it, man, there would be stuff I don't like. But
Yeah.
does that mean I'm gonna like like a Snyder bro or something like that, or like like they were just doing with Superman of like they released that clip and they're like, why are his eyes crossed? It's like it's not done yet.
Yeah,
Like
it's
that's not the
like a
movie.
rendering. Yeah.
Imagine if you buy a ticket and that's all you saw, you'd be pissed, of course. But it's not the end. They're showing you something that looks cool. They're showing you Superman flying. Okay, that's
It's
awesome.
yeah. Take take the wider range of what's going on instead of like,
Yep.
nope, nope, the eyebrows raised just a little bit. Nah, not
Nothing is
Superman.
supposed to be watched that way. Absolutely nothing
Man,
is
come
supposed to be
on.
watched on your phone where you zoom in and you're like, huh. Like what they did with Game of Thrones with that Starbucks cup. Like I know it was funny, but
Oh, yeah, yeah,
people love pulling stuff up and they'd be like, "What the? That's the guy in the back." And Star Wars, there's stuff like that too. Like the guy who's holding the ice cream bucket in Empire Strikes Back when he's running away. Like that guy has
yeah.
an action figure now, and that's just an ice cream bucket, right?
And that's
But like
awesome.
but it's fun and they pick that out. But when it's like when you see people cosplaying that at cons, that's when it's fun rather than people being like, "Oh, that ruins my disbelief," right? That breaks me out of it. I'm not in the
Uh,
world. I get it, but just, just have a
come
cup
on.
of tea and have some fun, dude.
Yeah, man, that's so goofy.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, people are awesome. We're awesome. We're really awesome. But man, Will, I want to thank you for, I feel like we've been planning this for a while. And I'm glad we finally got the opportunity to talk, man. I would love to, get together, in the future. Hey, I know
Yeah.
Fan Expo Denver is every summer. Maybe we can link up sometime. It's that's where I met Hayden 2 years ago. So
Oh, sick.
it's an awesome time out there. But man, what's the future for Will of the Force, your channel? Is there anything new that you'd like to discover? I know you talked earlier about getting into new things that you have in your collection, but like what's the next steps for Will of the Force and for yourself?
Before I talk about me, thank you for having me on, dude.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. This is awesome that you're doing these conversations with Star Wars fans. I mean, look, a lot of people have podcasts and a lot of people have conversations with people, but I think this stuff is so important. And I'm not saying this conversation with me is important, but what I'm saying is having these conversations with other like-minded Star Wars fans, and even people who maybe not have the exact same opinion, but that you're able to just like come to the table and talk about something as niche and as specific as Star Wars. And maybe, yeah, we are adults talking about this galaxy of space wizards and stuff
Yeah.
far away, but like it is important. And I think that's awesome that you can meet with people on that level and have people on. I mean, you're 8 episodes in, so that's really cool. But so like I said, appreciate you having me on and giving me an opportunity to talk. But yeah, just I don't know, Star Wars stuff. I don't really. I wish I could say that I plan out stuff. Maybe I'd be better at doing Star Wars stuff if I planned out stuff longer down the road. I have a Star Wars like show where we do scene breakdowns called Determined Focus, which is really cool. I just had, well, I didn't just have, but a while ago I had Hannah from At the Rayside on, and we got to talk to her about her favorite scene in Star Wars, which is Ahsoka leaving the Jedi Order. That was a blast. And then just more collectibles and stuff. I dropped a video. I don't know when this is going to come out, but today, which will be out when this comes out. But dropped a video this morning just reviewing a lightsaber that I got from Neo Saber's Anakin Skywalker lightsaber, just doing stuff like that. Big influence for me is Adam Savage, the guy who was on Mythbusters. Remember that guy, the guy with the red hair and the
Yeah.
glasses?
Yeah.
His YouTube channel is awesome. And I mean, he's somebody who worked on the prequels. So like seeing his collectible stuff, that's kind of where my head's been at now. So just being able
No,
to
yeah.
go through all of this. And yeah, I've got all the stuff, but I might as well talk about it. So yeah, just
Might
more
as well,
Star
man.
Wars stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, everybody go follow and go subscribe to Will of the Force. Really good guy. Obviously, if you made it an hour in, you know this guy's cool.
Yeah.
So
Sorry
make
for
sure you
rambling
guys
as much as I did.
it's a conversation. Could you imagine talking to someone and it's like, yeah, man, that was great. What do you think?
There are
That would
people like
suck.
that.
That would suck.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for everyone. And most importantly, thank you, Will, for making this possible, man. Thanks for joining me here and having a conversation with me about space wizards and cool shit in Star Wars. But as always, this when this comes out, maybe the Chiefs don't three-peat, and me as a Broncos fan, I can sleep really well at night, or they three-peat, history's made, my wife's happy, my friends are happy, and everything's cool.
I hope they
So
both lose.
We'll go. Maybe we can. Let's go to New Orleans real quick. Throw on the zebra outfit. Go down. Call the game. Oh, the jumbotron isn't working properly. The game's over.
Oh, I could
Sorry.
be a real bad ref. I could be a real bad ref if I needed to.